If you're anything like me, you remember being a kid and watching Lion King for the first time and thinking to yourself, wow, this is one of the only musicals that's actually bearable. And since there's a new live-action Lion King movie that's out now, I thought I'd make 51 facts about Lion King. The Lion King wasn't always gonna be called The Lion King, and went through a couple different titles before they finally decided what to call it. Some of the original names were the King of Kalahari and King of the Jungle. The idea for the movie was first presented to the writers as Hamlet, but in Africa, with Bambi thrown in it. So they called it Bamlet. The Lion King's opening scene is totally different than what the original script was. In the original, they were just supposed to open the movie with a dialogue that talks and introduces most of the main characters. But when the directors Roger Allers and Rob Minkoff heard the final version of Circle of Life, they totally scrapped the whole beginning of the movie and redid it just to have Circle of Life, and that's the beginning of Lion King as we know it. The Circle of Life scene was so powerful that it was used as a trailer for the movie. It was the first time Disney ever used a complete scene as a trailer. In the original script, Scar was a lone lion, not related to Simba or Mufasa, and he wasn't in charge of a pack of hyenas. Instead, he was in charge of a pack of vicious baboons. Rafiki wasn't even supposed to be a baboon. He was originally written to be a cheetah. And in the original storyline, Timon and Pumbaa were friends with Simba from the start. The Lion King was the first Disney movie with an original storyline. That is, one that was not an adaptation of an already existing story. Unless you count Hamlet and Bambi. Make sure you leave a like on this video. It helps me with the YouTube algorithm. Nathan Lane and Ernie Sabella, who were the voices of Timon and Pumbaa, originally auditioned to be hyenas. They met in the lobby in New York City where they auditioned for the part. They really hit it off, and then they asked if they could audition together. They were so hilarious that the casting directors had to include them in the movie, but they were totally not right for the part of hyenas. So they cast them as Timon and Pumbaa, and it was the perfect fit. The team that created Lion King really wanted Cheech and Chong to be the voices of the two main hyenas. So they scripted the entire movie as if Cheech and Chong were gonna do it. But in the end, they couldn't get Chong to participate, and so they got Cheech and Whoopi Goldberg to play the roles, which I think worked out great. While recording the song Be Prepared, the voice actor who played Scar lost his voice. So they had to get Jim Cummings to fill in, who plays the voice of the gopher that reports to Zazu. He sang the last third of the song. There was a song called A Lion in the Moon, which was a lullaby that was deleted from the film. Hakuna Matata wasn't even originally in the movie. There was another song called He's Got It All Worked Out. The whole song was about convincing Simba to eat bugs, but the team later decided it was a little much to have a whole song dedicated to eating bugs. And so they wrote a new song called Hakuna Matata, which was a phrase they heard when their research team went to Africa. The Lion King is the highest grossing hand-drawn animated feature of all time, with box office gross profit of $986 million. And at the time of its release, it was the second highest grossing film of all time. 25 years later, it's still the 48th highest grossing film of all time. It's also the 8th highest grossing animated feature in general, and is the #1 best-selling videotape of all time. And the biggest selling soundtrack of all time for an animated film. Yeah, lots of money. The 2.5-minute wildebeest stampede scene took Disney CGI animators almost 3 years to complete. They had to write an entirely new computer program to govern the movements of the wildebeests in the stampede. It took a long time. A hyena researcher sued Disney for defamation of character because they were making hyenas look bad. There were also others who protested the movie because they didn't want hyenas to have a negative public image. The Lion King's original director, George Scribner, wanted it to be like a National Geographic documentary. When he found out it was gonna be a musical, he quit. The Lion King was actually made by the B team of Disney animators, since all the best animators at Disney were working on what they thought was gonna be their greatest hit ever, Pocahontas. Boy, were they wrong. I bet they're not considered the B team anymore. Wildlife expert Jim Fowler brought in live animals from Africa so the Disney animation team could study their movements, including hornbills and lions at different stages of life. An earthquake in 1994 forced Disney to shut down its studios temporarily. Much of the film was created in the artists' homes. There were a number of original characters that were completely written out of the film, such as Nala's little brother Mitu, who Simba was originally supposed to save from the stampede, and another friend of Nala's named Bati, a wisecracking, bat-eared fox. Didn't know they had foxes in Africa, but okay. Wait, do they have foxes in Africa? There was also at one point a lizard named Iggy, and a second meerkat named Tesma, who is a Moby relative of Timon. In 1991, Disney sent a team of animators to Hell's Gate National Park in Kenya, Africa to do research. Most of the landscapes in the movie are based off of that park, but not Pride Rock. That was created by Disney artists in Burbank, California. The voice of Zazu was played by Mr. Bean. But before he was given the role, they offered the role to several members of Monty Python, as well as Patrick Stewart. After they had all declined, some of the casting directors happened to see an episode of Mr. Bean. I'm not sure how that happened. Like, did somebody just show them Mr. Bean? Had they never seen it before or what? But once they saw it, they were like, oh yeah, him. Let's ask him to do Zazu. That works great. The song Can You Feel the Love Tonight was originally supposed to be a funny song sang by Timon and Pumbaa. Honestly, it's hard to imagine that. I just don't know how that would have went over. Maybe it would have been better, who knows? Sean Connery was the first choice of the person to play the voice of Mufasa, even though James Earl Jones eventually got the role. A song called To Be King was supposed to be sung by Mufasa, until they realized that James Earl Jones could not sing it at all, and so they just totally scrapped it. Nowadays, I think they just would have slapped some autotune on and it would have been fine. There is not a single lion roar throughout the whole movie. The producers wanted each lion to have its own unique roar, so voice actor Frank Welker provided all the roars for all the lions. In the original script, Nala actually left Pride Rock to go find Simba because she refused creepy Uncle Scar's romantic advances. The team ultimately decided that that was a little bit too adult of a storyline, and so they changed it. And I'm really glad they did. There's a scene where Simba falls to the ground and dust clouds up around him. And if you look closely, you can see the letters SFX. The animators did that as a polite nod to the sound effects team. But honestly, when I look at it, I don't see that word. I see something else. The Lion King was one of only 3 Disney movies to win the Golden Globe Award for Best Motion Picture, Musical, or Comedy. The rules were later changed so that an animated movie could only win the Best Motion Picture Award in the animated category. Lyricist Tim Rice wrote 15 versions of Can You Feel the Love Tonight over the period of several years. The recording by Elton John that plays in the credits and won an Oscar is the first version. In the original script, the final fight scene of the movie depicts Simba actually losing the fight to Scar, and then Scar dying in a fire. Great kids movie. Voice actor Jeremy Irons was reluctant to play the part of Scar, but when he saw the animation, he fell in love with the character, and honestly, his voice is a perfect fit. Simba and Scar were animated on different coasts of the US. Scar's lead animator, Andreas Deha, was working from Florida. Meanwhile, Simba's lead animator, Mark Henn, was working from California. The team literally had to go back and forth to create some of the scenes. And the internet wasn't exactly what it is today. The song Be Prepared, which is sung by Scar, was originally going to be a different song called Thanks to Me, and it wasn't going to be sung until later in the movie after he took Pride Rock. But then they just decided that it would be better to have a song about him taking over before he had done it instead of just like a pointless song of him celebrating. Mr. Bean, who played the voice of Zazu, didn't know the words to It's a Small World After All, so he had to learn and practice the song before he could record it in the part where Zazu sings to Scar. Simba, Sarabi, Pumbaa, and Rafiki all are Swahili words. Simba means lion. Rafiki means friend. And Pumbaa means foolish. When Mufasa is talking to Simba, in the background of the night sky, you can see the constellation of Leo, which makes sense because they're lions. Good job. James Earl Jones and Madge Sinclair, who played the voice of Mufasa and Sarabi, were also the king and queen in the movie called Coming to America. In the movie, Scar famously says, "You have no idea," which is the exact same line that voice actor Jeremy Irons says in his Oscar-winning role as Klaus von Below in Reversal of Fortune. Sorry, I had to read that because I'd never heard of it. But apparently won an Oscar, and it was the same line. Two movies, same line. Pumbaa was the first Disney character ever to fart on screen. And there you have it, 51 facts about the Lion King. What did you think? Which one was the most fascinating or whatever to you? And also, which topic should I cover next? Leave a comment and let me know. I'll be reading the comments. If you didn't see my last video, you can click here. It was 51 facts about Area 51. Also, who here has seen the new Lion King, the live action one? I have not, but I really need to because, I mean, Lion King is just a classic, you know? Thank you so much for watching. I will talk to you next time. Bye. Instead, he was in charge of a pack of vicious... No. Oh, Microsoft Word on iPhone is being weird. Provided all the roars for all the lions. And I just got toothpaste on my ring light. Got it all over my shirt, dang it. That took way longer than I should have.